Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier from the real Javier Novoa, JN Consulting. It's a modality and a platform in which we apply the principles of philosophy, spirituality, and mysticism to rapid lifestyle development. It's all about using these tools to improve your lives, to improve our lives together, and to start to build a community of awakened and awakening individuals. Because the times call for that, ladies and gentlemen. And today I was doing a lot of contemplating, a lot of journaling, in between my daily work and business, and also in between coaching calls. We had 2 coaching calls today, ladies and gentlemen. That platform is really taking off because people are realizing the need to restructure their lives, and they're being inspired by this material and they want to take it further. So I am offering coaching calls, and you can email me in the description, which the email that I'm going to put in the description, to schedule a coaching call. They're very dynamic, they're very powerful, because I take you personally step by step on how to craft a plan for your rapid lifestyle transformation. And this is important, guys. And I have really been thinking, contemplating on where JN Consulting and where the real Javier Novoa is going. And I'm doing this slowly because we are starting to generate some income, and we're trying to grow as a business and as a platform. But I'm trying to get it to where I full-time dedicate myself to these platforms. We have big plans. I myself am developing a website, and we're going to have that website up and running in the next 2 weeks or so. And that is going to be a site where I put out written material. I'm going to put out articles. I'm also going to link videos. And I'm going to put exclusive content on there. I'm going to put exclusive videos on there and exclusive content. And I also want to build more videos on more social media platforms, as well as independent platforms. And I'm being inspired towards this idea and towards this concept of tech independence. And the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is because we are going in a way as a society, as many people probably know, that I am limited to what I can say on these official platforms like YouTube and so on. And I don't even need to go very deeply into it. You already know this. There is censorship, and the gatekeepers of the big tech firms and so on. I have to choose my words carefully here because I want to remain on YouTube, because it's a way that we can reach many people and benefit many people. But the gatekeepers of these, who knows what their standards will be in a few months or in a few years? And who knows how long we can continue operating on the official platforms? So I want to create and devise my own platforms. I want to get an email group started. I want to get our website started that's hosted on an independent server. And I want to start doing things more independently, and I want to be able to go more in depth with you. Now, we do have a channel on BitChute, which is the free speech platform, but we haven't seen the numbers really grow there because of the fact that there are niches on there that are more prevalent than the niche that we promote, which is reality creation. We want to change that by getting more information out. But basically, I am establishing a network that's going to go into different things like current events. We're going to be focusing more heavily on the coaching and consulting. I'm going to be doing personal consulting for businesses and for individuals, and I'm also going to be doing coaching calls for individuals. And I'm also going to be doing that outreach for people who are less fortunate, such as prison outreach and homelessness outreach. We all need to do this because there's a void in our current spiritual climate, ladies and gentlemen. Because we have on the one side the religious establishment. And the religious establishment is now all hijacked. We can say that there are not many sincere religious leaders left. There are not many religious leaders who are truly independent and who truly preach the truth as they see it. And many of them who do have certain good aspects don't know about mysticism. And so they don't know about the very structure of this matrix reality, of this grid reality that we're living in. They have some inklings of it. But unless they go into the mystical, unless they have spiritual experiences, and unless they study spirituality and philosophy, they cannot know about this. So they can only give superficial teachings to their congregations. And they can either have this free-for-all woke religion that is pitting groups of people against one another, or they have this guilt and hell preaching, which is also not true because they don't understand the metaphysical meaning of that. And of course, in the medical establishment, we're not going to find much relief there either. And again, I cannot go into this very deeply on YouTube, but I can go into it deeply when we start to establish our own platforms. So we are going to continue with that. I have a lot of ideas, and I am working, as well as my normal daytime work. I am working hours, and it's not because I feel forced, it's because I feel inspired, and I love it. And I want to help people, and I want to get this message out. I was reading just some news stories, and we're not going to go into the details. I was reading the economic news and so on, stories on the economic front, and just on the social disintegration that our societies are facing. We need this knowledge and this material. You see, we are, as I said in my rants last week, as I talked about, we're all being corralled into this prison grid. And it's not intentional necessarily on the part of the elites or the leaders, because many of them don't know this. This is unconscious. And it's also something that's created by the specific consciousness of being human. If you go to my scale of being, my chart of the scale of being, with divinity on the top and physicality on the bottom, I go into all this, how the unity divides into the observer and the observed and so forth. And when this happens, certain laws and dynamics automatically take effect. There are certain laws of physics, there are certain laws of mathematics, also the law of attraction and the law of assumption is there. And also delusion and memory wiping, and we can go deeper into this. I'm not going to go very deep into this here. But just know that when one is born into this present body, usually, unless one is in touch with other spiritual aspects and so on, usually his memory is wiped of what came before in the past. We'll just leave it at that. So people come into these bodies not remembering who they are, not knowing who they are. And then they're able to be entrapped into this prison grid by people who have knowledge, have higher spiritual knowledge. In many cases, it is people who were taught and inducted by the secret societies. These people have spiritual knowledge, but they have not taken the step of going all into that knowledge and practicing compassion and so on. So they're trying to live in both worlds. They're trying to live in their egoic reality, and they're trying to use the spiritual principles to force things on the physical. But their language is force, and this is something that I wanted to go into a bit, because Dr. Hawkins, the great spiritual teacher, had a book called Power versus Force. The modality of this world, the modality of what the biblical teachings refer to as the prince of this world, is using force. Anybody who wants to legislate, who wants to use force, who wants to force certain people to do certain things, they're operating from that modality of simply physical, of simply flesh, and of what Joe Dispenza refers to as Newtonian physics, as a metaphor. Your true power is not in force. And this goes into quantum physics. This goes into transcending the physical. This goes into spiritual awakening. When you spiritually awaken, you realize that you're one, And then there's no need to exercise force. The only exercise is love. And when you simply allow yourself to unfold in that love, and you simply allow that love to flow from you, then you have true power. And this is not force, this is a power. You're not trying to and that's why we talk about film roles here. That's why we go into the metaphors that were laid out by Vadim Zeland in reality transurfing, because they're very pertinent. When you're on a film roll, the script is already written, therefore force does no good. And when you're trying to force something, all that does is create energy blocks, and it creates conflict. And then you go to a film roll in which you're in conflict. And basically force stems from fear. So for all of those people who are not awakened to this reality, they are living to a greater or lesser extent in fear. And fear is basically what is creating this prison grid that is imprisoning humanity. And so the purpose of our modalities and our channels are to free people from that fear, get them to operate from the standpoint of love and from a higher emotion on that emotional scale, and then allow them to design their own lives. And in designing their own lifestyles, they will give up any idea of force and any idea of control, and we will get on a film roll in which there's harmony between human beings, and indeed between human beings and nature. But the film roll in which we are is one which ends in conflict between human beings and conflict with human beings and nature. You see how important it is to get our message out. Of course, there are many others who are teaching what we're teaching, just in different ways, using different nomenclatures. But this point of view of tapping into the ancient philosophical traditions of mankind and tapping into the ancient spiritual traditions of mankind, being able to communicate with with different cultures, using what is the core of their cultures, usually philosophical and religious beliefs and teachings, using that to awaken them to mystical principles, so that they can get to the root of their divinity and get to the root of who they are. Well, that's my intention. And that's my intention in going into all of this. And my intention is, in the next few months, to be able to dedicate myself to this full time. So we are building the structure for that. We are building the networks, the technical networks, the technological networks for that. And as I get inspired to more, I will share with you more. And we will be doing more. We're going to be starting an email newsletter. We're going to be coming up with ways so that we can connect without having to depend necessarily upon the prominent social media. Although we will operate on these social media just as much as we can for as long as we can. So I just wanted to go into that. The whole goal here, ladies and gentlemen, is to free as many souls as we can from this prison grid and to form a community. Because once we tap into that spiritual, once we begin to know who we are and to realize our core again, we're totally independent of anything that goes on the outside, because we'll be able to get on another film roll. And no matter what happens on the other film roll, we'll be living on that film roll. Of course, we may come down to the other film roll just for fun so that we can deliver others, because that might be another reason why we were sent. But we can get onto another film roll. We don't have to be part of or party to any negative circumstances that are coming, neither political, nor economic, nor environmental. Because once we realize that we create it all, once we realize that even those gatekeepers and elites of the matrix and of the prison grid are within our consciousness, and we don't have to fight them, we can simply use our power of allowing to dissolve whatever blocks are there. Then we realize that we have the ultimate power without force, and that's tapping into your love. And for those of you who will understand this video, who are at the level to understand this video and receive it, you will understand. For those of you who are not awake or not willing to be awake, many of you will say, what's he talking about? This guy's just babbling. And I don't care, because this video will reach who it needs to reach. So we are developing these tools. We are going to be continuing to release great material every day. We're going to start also releasing our meditations. We're going to start releasing affirmations. And we're going to release our curriculum to teach you how to get off grid, how to escape the grid, and how to live the life of your dreams on your own schedule and without being beholden to any force from the outside. Rather, you live flowing from your inner being and flowing from love. So we will be talking, we will be releasing a lot more videos this week. We're going still more into the nitty-gritty of reality transformation, of transforming your lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, all of this is so that we can have better lives. So with great love and appreciation, thank you for all of your support. Please continue to support us by subscribing and liking. Continue to support us in any way that you can and any way that's feasible. And with great love and appreciation, this is Javier, and I'll see you soon.